Hi everyone, Aiden here. I just wanted to do a video on tarot cards because I've been doing a few readings lately, and I'm sure a few of you aren't aware of it. I'm going to be touching up on a few cards and showing some comparisons between my two decks. Um, Tarot cards were the original playing cards, actually. Believe it or not, a lot of them were in Rome and in France. Uh, and people would play, card games with the tarot cards, and you still can, but I wouldn't with mine personally because these are a spiritual tool of mine. I do use these for practices, some in some of my rituals, and I just would never do that. I find that kind of disrespectful to my cards, so I would never do that. How they work is essentially what happens during the reading. Like, you've seen me place gems on my card stacks, and you've seen me held my deck in my hands and just stay there for a moment. And what I'm doing is I'm allowing the divine, well, the energy outside, the energy patterns that are at the moment, and those patterns are determining what the future is at the moment. Keywords. So what happens is those energies are fused in the deck, and I use that energy. So when I split it up the three ways, I can actually feel the differences in energy and where the most energy is found. That deck I always put on top because that deck has the cards that are representing your future and what's going to happen currently. You can still make choices and avoid some things, but some things you can't. And that top part has the cards meant for your reading. And essentially what the cards do is they read how the future is at the moment, and it can still change with your actions, but it's just saying what it is at the moment. So any negativity in a tarot card reading is meant not to say you're doomed, but more as a warning that you should change some things or become aware of them, or better prepare yourself for what's going to happen. Because like I said, some things you cannot change, but other things you can. One thing that a lot of people are afraid of with tarot cards is the fact that there's a devil card in one of them. And there's been people who've responded so powerfully and so strongly with this card that they have nightmares of the devil appearing at the foot of their bed after having a reading if they have that card. Now, I do actually have that card. It's in my Rider deck. Oops. And essentially, to me, what it represents is material obsession, or being obsessed with things that aren't good for you. And when you have that card in your reading, it means that you're becoming too attached to something and you need to let it go. That's all it's saying. It's not saying that the devil is going to drag you to hell and you're going to become a member of this new horror movie. It's meant as a warning saying you're becoming too attached to something. You need to let it go because it's harming you. Alright, another card I get a lot of trouble with is the Death card. Once again, this card does not represent physical death. What this card is, if you look at it, you have the death right here in the sword, but if you see in the corner, there's a sun coming up. And if you think about it, it's all depressed down over here, but there's a sun moving up and light appearing at the end of darkness. And this to me represents the death of something, but the birth of something else. So it's change, not death. And I'm just going to show you some of those same cards through in my other deck known as the Animals Divine deck. One reason I love this deck is the Devil's card's been changed to what is known as the Shadow. The Challenge card. And essentially, this one, I still get the feeling that you're going on a rough journey and you're becoming too attached to something. But it's not something that's going to like affect, really scare the ones I'm doing the reading for. And to me, this represents more the long journey and very harsh times ahead, more than material obsession. So, with different kinds of tarot cards, there's different meanings with the same cards. What it is when you're reading, you're focusing on the symbology attached to the cards, and what a reader does is he or she interprets what the card means in that situation based on the question and what kind of emotions and thoughts the pictures of the cards are providing, and our knowledge of symbolism and astrology and all that. And that's how we do our readings. That's how I can say stuff like that and kind of know I'm just reading based off of how I'm feeling and what kind of thoughts are coming to mind. I don't go through the white book and study it, although I will use it as a reference every now and then to help. I always recommend, if you're going to read, focus on how the cards are making you feel and what kind of thoughts are coming to your mind, because usually those are the right ones. Now, the Death card I also like in this deck because it's just a more positive way. It definitely has more about the renewal more than the actual death part, as in contrast with the Rider. And one thing I love about the Animals Divine deck is that it provides a whole diversity of different cultures and different religions and different mythology, and it's amazing, and the pictures are wonderful, very beautiful, very 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 good works of art. It's a little challenging when you're first getting into tarot cards, but it's a very beautiful deck. And I'm gonna go through and just put up my favorite card real fast. It's known as the Fool card. This card represents to me, taking in the joys of life but not really seeing where they're going to lie ahead, and you're just kind of living life to the fullest without really knowing what's ahead of you. Sometimes this could lead to problems, but most of the time this is where you learn the best of your lessons and you had the funnest times. And then also with the Animals Divine deck, it's represented by the Coyote, who yet he was considered the fool in most of the Native American tribes. And as you could tell, if I can get a good close-up, is that the ground below him is very, very rough, and it's definitely not an easy path. And you know, he has ravens wrapped around, and you can just see the land's dead. And he's going through a rough journey, but he's learning along the way, where it's a little bit different with the Rider's deck. They're both still learning, and they're both great teachers because they've learned life and they've lived it to the fullest. And some of the tarot cards can be pretty. The feelings can be pretty intense based on the pictures. Like, there's a different contrast. Like, for this one is a very intense card, known as the Tower card. And you can tell with the Thunderbirds, with all the lightning striking the stones, and you just feel like this very powerful energy. And you know, the eagle is a very powerful symbol. It's a symbol of leadership and a leader of just power. And in this card, this represents the end of something old and the beginning of something new, kind of like the Death card. But it shows the process of recreating something with, if I can get a good close-up, with the mountain just being shaved away into something new. And then they can be very calming, like the Three of Pentacles in this case, which is represented by the tiger. And you could just, this to me just brings out the beauty, represents like the beauty of something, the beauty of a situation. And with him dipping his paws into the river, he's becoming more in tune with his emotions and his inner thoughts. And you know, this is a great, powerful beast, but he's taken up the time to really focus on his emotions and really discover how he feels about things. And I find that a very enlightening card. Now, those, with the exception of the Three of Pentacles, those are known as the major Carnia. I can never pronounce the group's name. Those are the cards that you'd usually find the most powerful symbols in. Not always, but they also tend to be used a lot in rituals too, which I'll explain later. And then you got the 5 major suits. Ooh, wow, I'm running out of time. You have the Pentacles. This represents the element Earth, which represents the more practical reasons and methods of solving problems. You have the Ace of Cups, which is represented by water. These are more related to the soul and the inner emotions, and this is more spiritual purposes and issues and solutions. You have the Ace of Wands, which is represented by the element fire. This is has to deal with passion and energy and power, and these tend to be more of the I guess they kind of go with emotions too, but it deals a lot with change more times than not. At least to me it does. Then the next one is Swords, which to me represents the element air, and many times has to do with knowledge and communication and being able to talk about how you're feeling, how you're not, and how those can conflict against you. Swords tends to have the more brutal meanings at times, I've noticed. And some of the decks make the Swords cards very bloody for some odd reason. I don't care for it, but many times when certain suits appear many times in a reading, that usually relates to the person's zodiac sign or possibly their mother's, or just an aspect in themselves they really need to focus on. For example, if you have a lot of cups, maybe you need to focus on your soul and your emotions more. If you get a lot of pentacles, maybe you need to focus on the more practical approach to solving your issues and not relying just on emotions. They all kind of go hand in hand, to be honest. But yeah, these are my main tools for fortune telling, and I use them quite a bit. I'm pretty experienced with them, actually. Explaining wise, I probably didn't do the best of jobs, but it'll work for now. I think that's it. If you guys have any questions or requests for reading, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and blessed be.